What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. We're doing more Paladin stuff. We're going to cap off the Paladin trees. We don't have access to Holy Paladin yet. So we're going to do Ret Paladin today. And then I think next week, I think on Tuesday, we're getting Holy Paladin. That's, I think, what they said. So it just isn't quite done yet. So we're going to do Ret today. I'm going to talk about the class tree first. Going to talk about what buffs Ret is kind of getting from the class tree, what's interesting over here, and then we will talk about the tree itself and how cool it looks. Now, honestly, guys, Ret is looking pretty good. I think the Paladin trees in general are looking really solid. Something kind of like the Shaman trees. I think the Shaman trees are kind of like the absolute best, but this is very good. I love what they're doing with Ret Paladin. A couple different directions that they're moving. For Ret Paladin, of course, both trees have a pretty big emphasis right now on consecration, and that's something that has not been in the repertoire for Ret Paladin. Like, it's like the last button you press, right? So they're really making a push for it, and you can choose to do sort of a consecration focus build if you want to, or not. You can do, you know, there's like regular builds, like the Tempest of the Lightbringer is still here for Mythic plus AoE. So we'll get into that in a second. Let's start with the class tree, okay? And I'm going to, this is kind of what it's going to look like. I'm going to build it out from scratch, okay? So here's what you're going to do. You start with Hammer of Wrath and Retribution and Crusader Aura, which is really cool. Let's talk for a quick second about Ret Aura. There's a new effect on it. Whenever a part of your raid member within 40 yards takes more than 50% of their health and damage, you gain Seraphim for 6 seconds. So very good, actually. That's a huge buff. Crusader Aura used to just be when somebody dies, you get wings, and it still has that portion of it, but now it also has this Seraphim piece. So I think that's actually just a straight buff. We're going to take Cavalier. If you're the only Paladin in a raid environment, you're very likely need to take Devo Aura. So that's the only kind of bummer part of having these two auras here, is that if you're the only Paladin in a raid, giving 3% DR to your whole team is kind of important. So you really need to take that. You're going to go over here, get the haste. We've unlocked the second row. We're going to come back and get Holy Aegis later. We've just got Divine Steed plus Cavalier. You're going to grab Wings, Double Judgment. You want Bop. You want Divine Purpose, very likely. And you're going to want Obduracy. Then you're going to need your Kick. Or, if you're in a raid environment, you might not need your Kick, so you could go ahead and take Seal the Templar, which, if you are able to have Crusader Aura on, you can get 3 extra yards of range, which is actually pretty significant potentially in a raid fight. So there might be something to do there. Like, you might be able to mess around with that. Maybe, like, you swap auras. So, like, if your raid isn't taking any damage right now, then you have Crusader Aura on and you're getting extra range from Seal the Templar. That's kind of interesting. And then right before, you know, the damage comes in, you can pop Devo Aura. That seems like a little bit annoying to me, but it's up to you. And this is really important. Seal of Reprisal. Your damaging and holy power spending abilities deal 20% increased damage. So you're going to have that. That's just basically 20% more damage on all your spenders all the time. Like, very, very strong. Very good. Okay. Now, we have 3 points that we need to unlock the final row. So I would get 2 points here because that's 4% crit. And then you could grab Sack, you could grab Judgment of Light, you could grab Golden Path if you're doing a Consecration build. Let's just pretend that you are right now. Avenging Wrath is here. Then you're going to want to take Spellwarding. This is really huge for Ret Paladin. Ret Paladin has not really had like a raid buff. You know, like only Prop Paladin has been able to get Spellwarding. Now, all specs of Paladin can get it, including Ret, which makes the raid profile on a Ret Paladin go way up, in my opinion. Because now you can bring a Ret Paladin, they have Devo Aura, and they have Spellwarding, which is really crazy. That seems really powerful to me. So I'm really glad this is here. I think you're always taking Sanctified Wrath here instead of Seraphim. I do not like Seraphim. It's a good buff. Don't get me wrong. It's a very, very good buff. 15 seconds of all these stats is quite good. But getting 5 more seconds on Avenging Wrath, especially when you can turn it into Crusade, like, you can now get both of these, right? Whereas it used to just be that you could only get 1 or 2 of them. Let me look at Ret Paladin Icy Veins really, really quickly. Let me look at this. Right? So if you look at this, you've got Crusade here and Sanctified Wrath. So you don't get the explosion part of Sanctified Wrath anymore. That's important to understand. But you can grab Crusade and Sanctified Wrath and Final Reckoning now. You can get all three. You have Sanctified Wrath here. Crusade is over here. And Final Reckoning is over here. So the power level, just right out of the gates there, is important to understand. I think you should take Sanctified Wrath here. You can get 5 extra seconds on Wings, and you can get Crusade, which is nuts. So anyway, just want to make sure that was clear. Really, really good stuff there. Now, you want to get down to Mad Paragon as well, so I would take 10% Consecration damage. This is another amazing seal. Your attacks have a chance to make your target take 15% more holy damage. Absolutely. So now we have 20% more damage here and another 15% more damage here. Really crazy stuff. Then you're going to want the Mad Paragon, very, very likely, because now that you have a 25-second Wings, and you've got Crusade, of course, so it's giving you haste and damage. Let me scroll down a bit. Right? Increases your damage and haste by 3%, stacking up to 10 times. And it can go for 20. It goes for 25 seconds now. So that is crazy. You can extend it with Judgment and with Hammer of Wrath. So I think that's the obvious kind of synergy there for Ret Paladin. I think you very realistically have a 30 to 35 second Wings, and it's going to be buffed by Crusade. So very strong stuff. That's what you're going to want as a Ret Paladin. You have 3 more points, actually, which is quite cool. You basically have got all the throughput that you want. So you can grab Unbreakable Spirit for more defensives. You could grab a little bit more damage in AoE with Golden Path striking an enemy. You could grab Sack. You can grab Judgment of the Light. You can grab a buff to Sack. You can get your Cleanse if you need it for the dungeon that you're doing. You can get more damage on Consecration here with Incandescence. Let's just do that just for fun. Or you could try and get this buff down here, Aspirations of Divinity. So let's cancel this for a second. We have to go cleanse here. What did I do last time? Oh, you can get 1 point in here. That's what you can do. So this is a Crusader Strike, grants you primary stat for 6 seconds, which is quite good because you can get 2 charges of Crusader Strike over here. So that might be really, really good. That's just more throughput again. So this is what your tree might look like as a Ret Paladin, something like this. The important notes are things like Seal of Reprisal and Seal of the Crusader. You can get Blessing of Spellwarding. You want Sanctified Wrath, in my opinion, and the Mad Paragon is really, really good. So those are all really important notes here. Let's get to the actual spec tree, okay? You start with Blade of Justice. Let me talk about the structure of this tree really quickly. The left side is basically like a bunch of consecration tech. It's got Exorcism coming back, and we have some AoE capstones. So Consecration, Exorcism, AoE capstone. In the middle, you've got big cooldowns like Wake of Ashes, Execution Sentence, okay? Then you've got Crusade over here with Liadrin. So it's a couple of big buffs and buffs to those AoE abilities. Then on the right-hand side, you've got like Blade of Justice tech. You've got AoE tech with Empyrean Power and Tempest of the Lightbringer. And then you've got your AoE single target capstone. So you got AoE capstone over here, single target capstone over here. So they've really like mixed and matched everything and spread it around. It isn't just like AoE row this way, single target row this way. You know, they've put like an AoE portion over here, which leads to a single target capstone. And then over here, they've got, you know, Righteous Verdict, which is a Templar's Verdict single target buff that leads you down into an AoE kind of capstone area. So interesting that they've done that. The tier set bonus that we have right now in Shadowlands is available in both the 2-piece and the 4-piece are available here, which is really, really cool. Let me just move this over here. There we go. Have that off there. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's jump right into it. We have Blade of Justice. Divine Storm is here. Art of War. This is your passive, of course. Then you have Blade of Justice giving you 1 additional holy power. It already gives you this on live. Then you have Blade of Justice crits. That's a conduit. Causes the target to burn. I like that conduit. 2% haste here in the middle, which is kind of meh. Like, I don't understand why this is here. I really hope that they change this to something else, because filler, like, this is clearly just a filler node that they ran out of ideas, I think, or something like that. Haste is good for Ret Paladin, but it's just a very boring talent. I don't want to be putting talent points into just more stats. That's just really boring. Reduces the cooldown of Judgment by 1 second. This is actually quite substantial for Ret Paladin, because you need to be pressing Judgment as much as you can. It's a good generator for you. In Wings, it's going to generate 2 additional, like 2 holy power total. So that's quite good, actually. I don't know what the base, I think the base cooldown on Judgment is like 6 seconds. And then it gets reduced with Haste even further. And then it gets reduced by this. So quite strong, actually. Second charge of Crusader Strike. There you go, if you want to do a Crusader Strike focus build. Damage of Judgment by 10% is kind of meh. Shield of Vengeance is here. So that's very good. It's in the middle. You kind of have to take it. Again, it's like you're only defensive as a Ret Paladin. You are getting Golden Path Healing coming with us, which is quite good. But at the end of the day, Ret Paladin is still lacking in defensives. You can press, you know, Divine Shield, but that's a really big 5-minute cooldown. And you kind of want to use that for like immunities and stuff, if you can. Shield of Vengeance does need to get buffed a little bit, in my opinion. I think it's lacking a little bit of that defensiveness, especially since, like, I think Ret Paladin was similar to, like, Enhancement Shaman. Enhancement Shaman had the 40% DR Astral Bulwark, which is way, way better than Shield of Vengeance. Don't get me wrong. But that's it. That's the only defensive cooldown they had. And the rest of the time, they had to spend healing themselves with, like, healing surges. Shield of Vengeance is kind of similar in that you get the 1 cooldown, and then you just have to heal yourself with Word of Glories or Flash of Lights or whatever. So that's kind of the design intention I think that they're going for classes that have consistent healing. But they, like, Enhancement Shaman got a ton of defensives on their tree, and Ret Paladin didn't. So Ret Paladin probably needs some love there. Then, let's get to the second row. We've got the first choice here between Boundless, Judgment, and Zeal. So Zeal is there. Boundless Judgment is new. Judgment has a 25% chance to chain to a nearby enemy. Interesting. What I don't know is if this generates an additional holy power. I'm assuming it does, right? Like if it's going to chain to a different, an extra enemy, it needs to generate 1 holy power for me and proc my rank 4 Judgment effect here, where it causes the target to take 25% more damage. That means that would be quite good then, especially if you combine it with Divine Toll. In an AoE situation, you could literally, like, throw out your Judgments, and then they just go ding, 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 which would be kind of neat, actually. So, potential synergy there between Boundless Judgment and Divine Toll. We'll have to see. I don't know. I can't test this, so I'm not sure how well it kind of actually works, but it seems like it might work well. Wake of Ashes is here in the middle, of course. There's a new buff to Wake of Ashes right here. Let's look at this. This is the tier piece bonus or a different buff. Ashes to Ashes. Art of War has a 35% chance to reset the cooldown on Wake of Ashes instead of Blade of Justice. That is the tier set bonus that we have right now. Very cool. Now, you could also go the other direction with it and go Path of Ruin. Replaces Wake of Ashes with Path of Ruin. Now, instead of it generating 3 holy power, lash out at your enemies. Generates 3 holy power. Sorry, I was looking at the bottom. There's the bottom. Instead of it generating 3 holy power, I thought it might have generated 5. It only generates 3. It now costs 3 holy power. But the cooldown, instead of 45 seconds, is every 15 seconds. Okay? So it does less damage. This Path of Ruin does less damage. But it you can cast it 3 times as much. 15, 30, 45. Every 3 Path of Ruins, you can cast 1 Wake of Ashes. But I still think Ashes to Dust is just better. Getting a chance to reset Wake of Ashes is insane. So I'm not really sure if this is going to see any play. I feel like this needs to, like, be buffed a little bit more for it to actually be worth taking. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Execution Sentence is here. After 8 seconds, they suffer damage, plus 20% of all damage taken. Okay. Then you can buff it with Executioner's Will, which is quite interesting. Templar's Verdict extends the duration of your active execution sentence by 1 second. Can't extend it beyond the duration, beyond 8 seconds. So you can double the duration of your execution sentence from 8 seconds to 16. Very cool. I'm guessing you'll only, on average, be able to get, like, up to 12 seconds, because pressing Templar's Verdict like that often, like, that'll be hard to do, honestly. You have to generate a ton of holy power within this window to get this up to get up to 16 seconds. So maybe by the end of the expansion, you'll be able to do that. But I still think it's a good buff for single target damage, particularly in Raid. it's a very, very good buff to single target damage and raid. I don't like the execution sentence like playstyle, but it is really good single target damage, and now you can make that window a little bit bigger. Now let's talk about this. Consecrated Blade. This is a really cool new addition to Ret Paladin, and it's giving us a focus on consecration. Blade of Justice cast with Art of War shatters the earth while emerging, casting consecration on the target location. Has its own consecration limit of 1. I don't understand what that means in the context of, can I cast my own consecration as well? Like, what this is saying is that if you get an Art of War proc, you create consecration. If you get an Art of War proc right away, like right after that, and you cast Blade of Justice again, it's going to recast that same consecration that you cast a second ago, right? So you can keep like kind of moving it a little bit if you want, which is very cool. What I don't know is that can you also cast your own consecration, so you can have 2 consecrations down at the same time. And if you can, that makes me feel like a build with like a consecration build is possible with like incandescence, let's say. Each holy power you spend has a chance to make your consecration flare up. Your consecration does 10% more damage. Your consecration now heals allies, and you can make it damage an enemy with Seal of Mercy. Then you also have more consecration damage over here. This is insane, guys. Enemies hit by Divine Storm take 50% more damage from your consecration. Imagine if you could have 2 consecrations down. Your own personal consecration, and then the Consecrated Blade consecration. I mean, if you could, I think that that's completely crazy, and it actually sounds kind of like a lot of fun. But if you don't want to cast your own consecration, then that's the entire point of this talent. This talent is here to say, listen, we understand that Ret Paladins don't want to be pressing consecration as a part of the rotation, but we're gonna make it happen anyway. So you just get it for free. I love this. I'll be really interested to see how this works. Okay. Then you've got Truth's Wake. So this is another conduit where it burns enemies. It's a very good conduit. Lots of damage from that. Then we have Empyrean Power or Fires of Justice. If you're doing a Crusader Strike build, right, this is yet second charge of Crusader Strike. Very, very cool. And then over here, there's something else that has to do with Crusader Strike. I forget where it is now, but the point is you can get this Fires of Justice talent, which was previously not really taken much because it competed with Blade of Wrath and Empyrean Power, right? Which was the Divine Storm free. This was Blade of Wrath resetting more often. Fires of Justice just wasn't taken. Now you can take it because you're going to get the Blade of Wrath thing over here, and you're going to get... Oh, no, you're fighting for Empyrean Power, so you still have to choose. This is like... this is like single target versus raid, right? Or, sorry, Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus. Very good. Then you get Divine Storm projecting. This is the legendary that a lot of Rets are using in Mythic Plus. Very good. Back over here, you have Righteous Verdict. I don't like this talent at all, but it is a good damage boost. This is right here. So you can get this, plus you can get Zeal, plus Execution Sentence, right? Right here, you've got Zeal, plus Templar's Righteous Verdict, plus Execution Sentence. So again, I want to make sure that we stress over and over and over again how many of these talents you are able to get that you can't get right now. The power level is so high. I can get Zeal and Righteous Verdict and Execution Sentence. I can get Empyrean Power and Blade of Wrath, or Fires of Justice and Blade of Wrath. I can get Unbreakable Spirit and Cavalier and Eye for an Eye. I can get Seraphim and Divine Purpose, or Holy Avenger. You got to choose between these two. I can get Sanctified Wrath and Crusade and Final Reckoning. Like, most of these talents that I have to choose from right now, I can get all 3 of them in Dragonflight. That means your power level just goes way up, right? Think about like Legion. When we got to, one of the things we got to do in Legion was we got a legendary basically that let you pick a second talent point on your tree somewhere, and it was just like mind-blowing. Everybody was like, oh my god, this is gonna break the class, that you get to pick one additional talent. Like, you can have Sanctified Wrath and Crusade. Ret Paladin is broken. Now, guys, you can have all 3 of these here, and like all 3 of these and all 3 of those. Like, it's actually ridiculous, the amount of power level that we're getting. So important to understand that that level of power is going to be there. Okay. Consecration damage, Consecrated Ground. It's bigger. It slows enemies. Very, very good, actually. This is a really good, like, amount of CC that you can bring to your Mythic Plus group. 50% movement speed. That's really crazy. That's very helpful to the tank. This is actually quite good. Long Arm of the Law, I like this a lot, actually. Ret Paladin really struggles with mobility. I mean, Paladin struggles with mobility in general, but this is a great little boon here. 20% movement speed. It's only for 2 seconds. It's not very long. Like, even 3 seconds would be much, much better. But this is a great little boost. We don't have to use Cavalier all the friggin' time to get around. You know, like, this is just going to help you with your uptime in melee. It's going to help with a lot of things. I actually like it a lot. Let's back up a little bit here. More Consecration stuff, okay? Consecration, periodic damage has a chance to grant you 1 holy power, or every 10 seconds in combat you gain 1 holy power. So I don't like inner power. I think that every 10 seconds in combat is like, that's like a long time. But like, I think over the course of an entire dungeon or raid, of course, you're going to be getting quite a bit of holy power. Like, if you have a 5-minute boss fight, right, that's 6 times 5. That's 30 holy power that you're going to get. We're doing math again, guys. You know me, I like to do math every time I'm doing one of these videos. That's 30 holy power that you get over the course of that fight. Again, it's not actually that much, but it's good. It's not nothing. It's not nothing. But I think Sanctification is very cool if you're doing this like Consecration style build with Consecrated Blade and Hallowed Ground and Incandescence and Golden Path, yada yada. Another thing that adds to the Consecration build, are you ready for it? Exorcism. We're getting Exorcism back. So it blasts 1 target with Holy Light, and then it burns that target for 20% more attack damage every 2 seconds, 12 seconds. If they are standing in Consecration, it applies the damage over time effect to all nearby enemies. And it stuns undead targets for 5 seconds. So you're standing in a pack of 10 enemies. You fire off, you put your Consecration down, and then you fire Exorcism, and then it spreads the dot to all nearby enemies. That's really cool, actually. That's really cool gameplay. It's a 20-second cooldown. I love this. And on top of that, your Consecration is now dealing damage to an enemy with Seal of Mercy. It's flaring up with Incandescence. It's dealing 10% more damage with Hallowed Ground. Your Blade of Justice is letting you continue to make more Consecrations over and over and over again, so you don't have to actually hard cast it. And then it's doing 50% more damage with Calm Before the Storm. Like, very good stuff. This is a build that's coming together now, right? Very cool. This bottom row here, besides Exorcism, so Exorcism and Executioner's Will and Tempest of the Lightbringer don't let you continue down to the bottom section. The only way you can get to the bottom section is by getting utility. So Judgment giving you movement speed, Hand of Hindrance, Selfless Healer or Healing Hands, Justicar's Vengeance, or Eye for an Eye. You have to pick one of these utility nodes to travel down to the bottom, which is perfectly fine. You should have to pick and choose which one you want. Some of these are kind of better than the others, though. Unfortunately, Justicar's Vengeance is just absolutely terrible. It's turbo bad. Eye for an Eye is also quite bad in PvE because you just don't end up getting hit that much. So it might be good in PvE, like if you find a way to like utilize it. Taking 35% less physical damage is very good if you're stopping like an AoE physical attack. So something like Sludge Fist, right? This would be very strong on Sludge Fist. So this might actually see use. Justicar's Vengeance is totally useless. I don't know why it's in the game. Blizzard, please remove it. But Eye for an Eye actually might be okay. Couple extra points in the middle row before we get to the bottom. These are interesting nodes over here. Last Rites and Deemed Unworthy. So every third successful judgment has a 15% increased critical strike chance and deals additional holy damage. Every third successful judgment increases the damage you deal by 4%. I don't like these at all. It's fine to be getting extra damage. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And the every third successful judgment thing, I like that style. I really enjoy that style of a talent where it's like every third one of these that you do, or every 5 one of these that you do, because then you can sort of plan ahead. You can sort of see that you've got this buff getting ready, and then you can plan to throw that last judgment, that third judgment, and now it does extra damage, and then it's giving you 4% more damage, and then you're pressing your big cooldowns. Like you get your big Divine Storms going and Wake of Ashes, and you're doing lots and lots of extra holy damage, and you're getting a 4% damage amp. I just think that it's really boring. What I would rather see is if it said every third successful judgment throws an additional judgment. Make it every 5th successful judgment. Every 5 judgments that you throw automatically throws an additional judgment. That would be really cool. Why? Because it synergizes with Boundless Judgment. It synergizes with the fact that it gets you holy power. It synergizes with the fact that it's going to reapply this judgment debuff. It might throw that judgment at a different enemy. Like that's the kind of stuff that I would love to see. Every 4 judgments that you throw automatically throws an additional judgment, and then that judgment might bounce around with Boundless Judgment. You see what I'm saying there? Like, that sounds a lot cooler, and it actually accomplishes the same thing. Last Rites, all Last Rites is saying to you is that every 3rd judgment does extra damage. So let's change it. If it's every 4th judgment throws an additional judgment, that additional judgment does more damage, guys. You're getting the damage part of it, but now there's actual synergy with the kit, with Boundless Judgment. It's giving you extra holy power. That's very, very cool. Like, that would be an interesting idea to explore, rather than it just being like, well, every 3rd judgment does more damage. That just kind of makes me crazy. So I do hope they make these more interesting. That would be my only gripe there. But let's keep going. The bottom row here. Let me talk about this for a second. This is a very, very well-constructed bottom section of the tree, okay? The reason is because you have 4 different rows to go down, and they're all connected very nicely by these 3, these are like the guardian talents here. They're guarding the gates, right? You can get 2 out of 4 of these basically every time. Or you can do another interesting thing where you do this. 1 point here, a couple points there. Oh, I have too many points. I just lied about everything. Oh, we got to get rid of some points up here. I don't want that. I don't want... How many can I take? I spent way too many. We spent way too many. Okay, here's what you can do instead. You can do this. I've spent all my points, but here's what you can kind of do. There's a lot of stuff going on in the middle of this tree. There's a lot of talents in the middle section of Paladin. It's actually heavily loaded kind of in the middle. If you don't care about getting to these capstones, you can just pick a lot more stuff in the middle, and then grab all 4 of the almost capstone nodes, which are very strong. These are all very strong. This gives you an extra charge of Hammer of Wrath. This gives you Crusade. This gives you Divine Toll. This is your tier set bonus right now in Shadowlands. Now you have your entire tier set bonus. Ashes to Dust plus Ashes to Ashes. Okay? So you can get all 4 of these without getting a single capstone if you want to. If you don't want to do that, maybe you just want to get Crusade and you want to get Final Reckoning instead. There you go. You can mix it up there. You don't care about the extra hammer. If you're doing a single target encounter and you don't need Divine Toll, guess what? We're going to go all the way down here and get Final Verdict. In a second. Let's just get rid of the Consecration stuff. Right? There you go. There's your single target build. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Look how flexible this is. This is so incredibly flexible. That's what makes it amazing. You can get this plus a plus 1 capstone. You can get all 4 of the pseudo capstones. You can get 2 capstones and then not get anything else. There's so much you can do in the bottom here, and I love it. I love how this is structured. Blizzard, please make all the other talent trees structured kind of like this. It's a very good design because it gives you multiple choices. All 8 of these last talents are talents that I want to take. All of them. Depending on the situation, they're all talents that I really want to take. So that's a good design. It means that I'm being forced to pick and choose depending on the situation, and I can. That's a very, very good way to design the talent tree. That's what you want. You don't want your players to feel like they have to choose something because it's too good, but you do want your players to feel like they're stuck between 2 good choices. I really want this, but I really want this. They're both really good. I'm gonna have to choose this for this fight, and I'll choose this for the next fight. That's what you want. So. That's really cool. Having said that, this is your AoE stuff down here. Like I said, this is your tier set bonus. Gets you Seraphim for 4 seconds. We have Final Reckoning down here. Okay. Calls a blast of damage. And then it has the passive component as well. We all understand that. It's a very good ability. Let's backtrack a little bit. We have Divine Toll plus Divine Resonance. So this is good. It means you get 3 extra casts of Judgment for Ret Paladin, which is very, very good. Again, that synergizes with Boundless Judgment in AoE. Divine Toll plus Boundless Judgment might be really, really crazy. Okay? Then, if you want to keep going to the right, you have Crusade or Avenging Wrath Might, which is just the standard Avenging Wrath that's on the live version of the game right now. So very likely you're going to go with Crusade. And then you have Liadrin's Fury, which gives you 1 holy power every 5 seconds, which is very, very similar to Divine Resonance. So it's kind of bad that these are basically the same. This gives you 1 holy power, like 3 holy power in 15 seconds. This gives you 1 holy power every 5 seconds, and your Avenging Wrath will be 25 seconds long. This basically gives you 5 holy power, and this gives you 3 holy power. But they're the exact same. One's just kind of shorter. So I actually think that they should change Liadrin's Fury a little bit. Maybe make it so that Judgment immediately gives you 3 holy power. Maybe that sounds too strong. I'm not really sure what they can do, but they need to change this a little bit because literally Liadrin's Fury is just slightly better than Divine Resonance, but you're not going to take it necessarily in AoE. But it's just, you can basically get the same effect just in 2 different ways. So I'm not really sure if that's good or bad. You guys will have to let me know what you think about that. Then you have Vanguard's Momentum, of course, which gives you 1 charge of Hammer of Wrath and increases your damage by 4%, up to 3 times, so that's 12% more damage. And then you have Final Verdict, which is very, very good. Synergizes very, very well with Hammer of Wrath, of course. Oh, sorry, you guys can't even see this, can you? Let me move this over here. Right, so we're talking about this talent here. This makes you do that ranged attack, the ranged Templar's Verdict. It does a lot of extra damage, and importantly, it has a chance to activate Hammer of Wrath and reset its cooldown. Why does that matter? Well, thank you. I'm glad you asked, because we have the Mad Paragon. That's why it matters. Because now your Judgment, like your Judgment and your Hammer of Wrath, will extend wings, right? So you pop wings, and then your Final Verdict will... You pop wings, and you press Hammer of Wrath, and then you press Templar's Verdict or Final Verdict. It resets Hammer of Wrath for you, if you get lucky. You press it again, and you're extending wings over and over and over again. This will help you to get to that like 35-second wing duration. That's the idea there. So, whoops, just move something else. That's the tree, guys. That's the tree. Let me go over it again, really, really quickly. You've got Divine Storm. We have some AoE consecration stuff over here. Very cool. New consecration build with Exorcism. Okay. Then you have some capstones. You have a AoE capstone in Divine Toll. You have your AoE capstone for Wake of Ashes, the tier set bonus, plus Final Reckoning. Coming down the middle, we have Shield of Vengeance. You've got Wake of Ashes, Execution Sentence for your single target build. And then we come down out to the middle, and you've got Crusade along with Liadrin's Fury. On the right-hand side, we have Blade of Justice tech going on here. We have a couple of bad nodes over here that make your judgments just make you do more damage. I really, really hope they would change this and say, you know, Judgment throws an additional Judgment, which will help you generate more holy power. It would also synergize with a Boundless Judgment. You guys have heard me say that. Then you have some AoE tech here with Empyrean power plus the Divine Storm Legendary from Shadowlands. Then on the final side here, we've got the single target tech with Final Verdict, Vanguard's Momentum, Relentless Inquisitor, Vanguard's Momentum, of course, synergizing with Hammer of Wrath and the Mad Paragon to extend the duration of your wings as much as you possibly can. So this tree is very good. This node right here is bad in my opinion, and these 2 nodes over here I think just need to accomplish the same thing, but in a more interesting way. Don't just make me do more damage. Make me throw an additional Judgment, which does more damage, by the way, and generates holy power. Like, something interesting like that, please. Would be very cool. Everything else is really cool. I am so excited for a Consecration, you know, Incandescence, Hallowed Ground, Golden Path, Consecration, Sanctification, plus the Exorcism to give me that AoE kind of dot that I'm putting on everybody. I'm very excited for this. I think this is really, really cool. I'm very excited for the Consecration Ret Paladin to make its way into Dragonflight. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think about Ret Paladin? Are you excited about Ret Paladin? Are you like mad with the direction that they went in terms of the consecration stuff? Are you okay with that? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, guys, if you like this video, please press that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out the algorithm. I'm trying to push for 2K subscribers. We're almost there. We're like on the cusp of 2K. So, yeah, hit that like and subscribe for the channel. And if you want to support the future of this channel, what I'm doing here, Patreon is the best way to do that. There's a link down below. There are multiple tiers that you can get involved with if you want to. I would really appreciate that as well. Thank you so much again for watching. I love you all. I will see you in the next one.